Welcome to tonight's broadcast again of Secondary Literacy. As always, broadcasting live from our Secondary Ed studios. You'll find us at 521 on your dial, moving from left to right. I'd like to invite you all into the room and feel free to join us tonight. Tonight, you're going to need to pull up either on screen or in print your happy hour quick write and your IQ. We're going to be working with those tonight as well. So you'll need to have those handy. Give me a second to get that together. We're going to start tonight with our happy hour on the article, Why Students Forget, and then moving into the IQ and have our first IQ karaoke tonight. Woohoo! So get ready. All right. Before we begin, any questions prior to our start? Okay, we're going to go ahead and jump in then.
Professor, are we going to need the assignment from last week to have it ready?
You're going to need the IQ on what reading does for the mind, and also the quick write, which was Why Students Forget.
Thank you.
Okay. So a friend of mine sent me this last year, and it was sort of typical, I think, talking about a teacher's brain at night. And this is probably par for the course for those of us that are teaching. We're never quite hitting the off button. How many of you find that to be the case? That the off button is hard to come by? Yeah. So I thought this was something that would typify that. And I think we can all relate to that. Especially the more coffee. We're going to start tonight with our nervous system reset. So all you have to do is just follow the directions. I invite you to sit back in your chair, relax, drop your hands by your side, and we'll just take a few minutes and decompress from whatever the commute was that you took to get to where you are right now. Okay, hope that everybody got a little bit more air into the noggin there. Last week we talked a little bit about the happiness factor, and I always say that we can't underestimate the power of humor to connect us to our world, even in our animal friends. So I think you'll appreciate this. I think everybody needs a good laugh now and then, right? So last week we talked about technology and some of the challenges, and as this cartoon says, now that I've invented it, I have this odd compulsion to hold it in my hand whenever I go and glance at it incessantly, which is probably a precursor of where we are today. Now, there's a Project Zero out of Harvard called Teaching Digital Citizenship, Teaching Digital Citizens in Today's World. It's an interesting website, and it shares some interesting data with respect to the ubiquity of technology these days. What we see here in terms of the digital landscape by the numbers is that what's interesting is that 5 to 8-year-olds are spending over 3 hours a day watching video, and part of that could be social media. And we've seen that there's an increase. Obviously, I think some of this is stimulated by the pandemic, but it sort of gives us an idea into the cave that kids are falling into. And again, the notion of having friends online versus in the real world can be somewhat of a challenge for a lot of different reasons. In terms of the smartphone ownership, we can see a huge increase from early on, particularly in terms of the age groups, with about 91% of teenagers having smartphones now, as opposed to 77%, which is still high. But you kind of get an idea of, again, some of the challenges that we face in terms of how we combat, as it sometimes refers to, the issue of cell phones in the classroom, but also the need to enhance their understanding of digital literacy in seeing that cell phones can be useful, and as well as other devices, but cell phones in particular can be more useful than just the typical uses that we see. Now, I did some research and I found the very first IT help desk call. It was done in Norway, and it's a long time ago, so the film is a little grainy, and it's in Norwegian, but it is translated with subtitles, so I think you'll appreciate this.
Ansgar? Ja, 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 så bra, Ansgar. Her du. Her du. Ja. Ja, hva gjelder det? Ja, det er det her. Ja, vil du sitte? Takk. Ja. Ja. Ja, så den har fått gjort noen ting hele formiddagen. Nei, jeg beklager at det er ikke noe forskjellig. Jeg holder på å legge om til et helt system, og da skal alle ha ett på en gang. Ja, så du kommer ikke inn i den, eller? Nei, bare ligger der. Har du forsøkt å åpne den? Åpne den, altså hvis det hadde vært så enkelt, så hadde jeg jo ikke tilkalt helsetest, skal jeg vel? Nei. Du har lyst på en pann? Nei, da, bare på den. Ja, se. Du bare gjør der. Sånn, ja, da er vi i gang. Ja, så langt kom jeg også. Ok, men så stoppet det opp, og så var jeg redd for at noe av teksten skulle forsvinne, så jeg turte å gå videre. Ja, ok, nei, men skjønner, inni her, så ligger det kanskje flere 100 sider. Jeg lager teksten. Så kommer vi videre, så tar du tak i et ark, på måten her, så blar du over av nesten finne data, fortsetter teksten der. Jeg blar, altså. Du blar, ja. Men når jeg tar tilbake da? Ja, da bare blar du tilbake. Jeg tar tak der. Der, så er du tilbake til den teksten av avstand. Ok, så den slutter der, og så fortsetter den der, ja. Når jeg skal avslutte den, hva gjør da? Jeg bare står du sammen termene, ja, og den måten der. Det er lukket her, det ligger alt lagret inni der. Jeg er sikkert ikke å miste noe av teksten her. Jeg har ikke laget til der, ja. Det er kanskje litt sannsynlig. Ja, for det er noe vi kan ikke holde på med en skriftrulle, så tar det litt tid å konvertere oss og bla i en bøk. Ja, men det er det før det går. Det bare går en gang til. Jeg åpner, sånn, og så har du kanter det. Jeg blar frem og tilbake, og når jeg er ferdig, så bare lukker jeg den. Flott, det er kjempefint. Ja, men det er det, ikke sant? Det er en sånn igjen, nå prøver jeg ikke å åpne den. Så det er ikke likegyldig, det er åpnet av den siden der, sånn, der nå. Ja vel.
I like when he says, I like the scroll much better. I thought that was an interesting flashback. Okay, moving right along then. We're going to go ahead and do our happy hour. The happy hour activity tonight is from the article, Why Students Forget. And Again, you saw a copy of it there. Now, let me just sort of review something for you. Some of you are still not quite getting it, but the quick write is something that I email you after class, and you have the week to work on it, and it's to be done prior to class so that we use it for our happy hour. And also the IQ is from the assigned reading that I give you at the end of the class period. Some of you are still confusing quick writes and IQ, so let me just try to delineate it one more time. The IQ will be coming from either the textbook, the VACA text, or from articles in the reader, just as we have this week. So if you have any confusion about that, or you're not clear, after I email you the quick write, just let me know through email, and I'll try to spell it out for you as best I can. Okay, the article again, why students forget and what we can do about it. And we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you that a little bit later. I'm going to go ahead and break out into our groups. And let me give you the protocol. When you go into your breakout group, each of you will have a quick write. So what I'd like you to do is to, each of you take turns sharing your paraphrase. Share one word and why you chose it, which is the important part of that segment. And then an idea or two from the second to the last box about what it caused you to wonder about, ponder, think about, appreciate, or dispute, and then the implication. We'll take about 5 or 6 minutes to do this. I'll try to get around to every room, and then I'll give you a 2-minute warning that I'll broadcast when we're ready to come back, and then we'll do a general debrief. Okay, any questions? All right, and those of you that aren't sharing your video, once you get into the group, if you can share your video, and I recommend gallery view, then that would be appreciated and respectful of the people that you're with. Okay. And you're going to be with people you haven't met, so the first thing you probably want to do is introduce yourselves by name. Okay, I will see you shortly. Hang on to your seats, away we go.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hi.
Hello.
I'm in the car, so my camera's off, sorry.